I went down to the river yesterday. I asked a man if he could wash my sins away. He said, Lord, this our river, let me save your soul.
I'm David Halsey, captain of the My Smuggler. You might also know me as the singer and guitar player for the band New Dynasty.
And love you been living.
We'd like to take you on a 130-mile adventure down the Kerr McClellan Navigational Channel. Now I'd like to introduce you to my crew.
Lord, this our river may save your soul. See.
Just east of Oklahoma City. That's where our adventure had started, with 93-year-old Ben Kaufman and his daughter, the man we had bought the My Smuggler from. Soon we were on our way. Little did my brother know when he backed under, it was going to his house, but he did warm up to the idea. It took most of the winter to rebuild the My Smuggler. All crew were on deck cleaning, fixing, rebuilding the motor, doing the interior. Soon we were on our way. Our adventure was to start just east of that blue well on Route 66 at Rogers Point Park in the city of Catoosa. Soon we were on our way. It was a beautiful morning. All hands were on deck. Support vehicle in tow. It wasn't long before we realized what this canal was truly made for. We seen our first barges. Then we seen our first tug. It was the Legacy, one we knew from the internet. We only seen one boat in the first 12 miles. Austin and I were on the bow. Soon engineer Dan said, "Starboard side, port of Catoosa." The port was quiet. It was Labor Day weekend. As we passed under Highway 412, we looked back on the port. And on with our adventure we went. There were many contributors that dumped into the vertebrates. Soon there was a walk in the distance. There was dredges dredging, whistles blowing. I thought maybe we had gone far enough and needed to turn back. But with a few encouraging words from my crew like, "You don't have any you-know-whats if you don't get in that lock," well, we were soon on our way. The water began to turn as the lock filled up inside. The gates began to open. We eased inside. As we passed the gates, we realized they were 75 feet long and 30 to 35 feet tall. The lock's 150 feet wide and 650 feet long. They had us ease all the way to the far end. The gates behind us began to close. Soon we were at the Newt Graham, Lock 18. It didn't take but just a few minutes, 8 I think it was, for 20 feet of water to drop. Water was flooding in behind us, and the gates were opening before us. Soon we were on our way again. It wasn't long before Danny Wrench, the engineer, said, "Hey, we ought to get some bait for tonight." So we pulled over to a little island and went up in the tributary and got some bait. There's Danny and myself. Soon a barge passed by. It kept coming and coming and coming and coming. And the captain gave us a friendly toot as he went by. Toot! It took 3 years to build the lock and canal systems, from 1968 to 1971, and was dedicated by President Richard Nixon, with Senator Kerr of Oklahoma and Senator McClellan of Arkansas at the lock that day. There were lots of boats in attendance, as well as many people. Our trip started at the Port of Catoosa and was going to go to Sallisaw. But the actual canal goes from the Port of Catoosa all the way down through Fort Smith, around Little Rock, Arkansas, and all the way to the Mississippi River. Thanks to the hard work of Senator Kerr of Oklahoma and Senator McClellan of Arkansas. While enjoying the day on the river and talking about the history, we all realized that we probably weren't the only ones that had been on this trip. The indigenous people had used this for its resources to travel for thousands and thousands of years, as well as the early settlers. There was a lot of wildlife, but it was really hard to film. Here's a gray crane, our star. The eagles all kept far in the distance. Here's a nice shot off of the bow of the My Smuggler. Let's take a look off of our aft. She's doing full steam ahead, 8.5 miles an hour. Let's take a moment and enjoy the canal for what it was built for. Here's the Tamalali, hard at work. The captain came out to acknowledge us. The barges were huge. Here's the Miss Alex. The guys came out to wave. Looking back at the port. This is the El Paso pushing up. And here I am, the crew decided I needed to check out our vehicle. Wrench said, "Full steam ahead!" So I gave her all she had. Flying into a corner, we found out that our support vehicle was about a 2.5 mile an hour vehicle, but it would get us to the shore. As I come around, I had to say, "Ahoy, shore!" I thought I'd take it around for a power spin. I'm not gonna lie, as I was coming back, we sped the camera up just a little bit. But let the crew know it was a fine vehicle. It would do the job. Soon we were back on the river and approaching our next lock. Like GoPros, we did this one with style. We eased all the way up. There's Wrench on the bow and my brother Daryl. Hey, let's listen to everybody work.
Kind of pull us backwards.
Push us back. Come back.
I want to put that short one on the front up there. Right, and I'll hold us with this one. Hurry, here we go.
You got it.
I know, but I want to get that front one swing around. And put it on that clip in the front.
As you can tell on the lock, it's pretty intense. We had found ourselves in the Shoto Lock 17. After leaving passing the David Work, we were well on our way again. There was a wave in front of the barge. We're here at the Arkansas, taking over from the Verdigris. Now the Arkansas is the Canal. My brother bringing us into the port of Muskogee. The port of Muskogee is quite a bit bigger. You'll notice the canal got bigger too. My brother again. We're leaving the port, looking back. The canal began to get larger and larger. It began to get rough. Let's see what the crew's listening to on the My Smuggler. Sound like a little new Dynasty to me. The Shine. Before long, we was pulling up on Weber Falls. After leaving Weber Falls, the evening began to set in. As we cruised into the night, it began to get darker and darker and darker and darker. So the crew asked me to pull into a sandbar and spend the night. The next morning we hit the river again, and in the lonely distance was the Oklahoma Palm. As Wrench and Robin fixed breakfast, my brother and I decided we would pull into a sandbar and have an adventure.
Ahoy, shore.
Captain, aye! We found a few mementos we thought was an alligator slide, and soon we were on our way again. With my brother and I taking us across the vast Kerr Reservoir, we was having fun, knowing our trip was coming to an end. The Applegate Cove Marina in Southsaw was just around the corner. This is Captain Day saying, keep America beautiful, and go find an adventure of your own.
I went down to the river yesterday. I asked a man if he could wash my sins away.